Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.
Welcome to the KVJ After the Show Podcast. That's right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Here we go. Yeah. Now, I got a couple follow-up emails about conversations from today and some interesting points, just filling some of the gaps. Earlier, we talked to a couple that was trying to figure out what they were going to be doing as they got married with the last names, hyphenations. Should he take her name? She wasn't down with taking his. What about their kid? She's pregnant. It's just kind of crazy. And my mom, who does the whole lineage stuff, she had texted me and said... Yeah, she said, that's going to be a real problem, like, down the line if you did everybody, like, you get married and you're like, okay, we're going to just hyphenate our last names, and then your kid is going to have that, and then your kid meets somebody and marries someone with hyphenated last names. Now they would have 4 last names. So then their kids does the same thing, and now they're going to have 8 last names.
I still kind of like when the baby is born, the husband, wife... They play Uno, they play a round, and whoever wins gets to
it's cutthroat round Uno.
It's cutthroat round world.
Yeah. You know, people who do put together the genealogy, they probably want to know that stuff. Be going, how do we have this last name as our family? Well, it was a cutthroat game of Uno.
Yeah.
200 years ago, our ancestors played a cutthroat game of Uno. What's Uno?
Not to get on a tangent about Uno, but holy shit, does that game still hold up? All right, that's all.
We know how you feel. You've made your opinions of Uno clear.
Oh, the wild card, Virginia, anything goes at that point.
This email from Jason brought up a good point, though. She was talking about, the traditions, all that stuff. And I want to touch on the woman that called in today and did not want to take her husband's last name because she's an independent woman. Didn't believe in the traditional way that things work. Well, my one question is, I was wondering if she accepted the diamond engagement ring.
Oh, that's such a good fucking point.
Yeah.
What about that tradition? I bet she loves that one.
Yeah, so if she did take the ring, if that didn't show sexism, I don't know what does.
If she
about the whole marriage thing.
If she takes the ring but not the name, their whole tradition arguments out the window.
Diamonds can never be sexist.
Well, when you start picking and choosing, what traditions suit you.
Well, exactly.
Can't you pick and choose what traditions suit you?
Well, that just shows you everyone's got their own personal agenda. But I think if people just realize that everyone's got their own agenda and everyone goes their own way, why do people get so offended by it?
Yeah, Ted.
Ted got offended.
But then Ted would say, why are you getting offended that I'm just giving my opinion?
Well, I'm just telling you, Ted, that change is here, and if you dig your heels in and you're like, no, the man needs to be out in the field working and the woman needs to be home making me a sandwich and doing the laundry, like... That's just not how a lot of families happily function today. And you make yourself sound silly.
I would say more than ever, our generation, society is changing more quickly than ever.
Well, I think technology has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
Social media, all of that. I know I always preach about social media, but even 15 years ago, everybody and their mother literally could not contact anybody. Like I can contact China if I wanted to. And they get my message like that, and then a bunch of people see it.
So more of a free flow of, original thought and ideas.
Well, just at the capacity we're able to get it now. I mean, Aunt Ann, my aunt, who 15 years ago, she talked to 3 people in her life, but she now has the capability of talking to many people by going on social media. She can do a video, upload that, and then she literally can talk to everybody in the world. That didn't exist 15 years ago.
And thank goodness she's on social media, because that girl's a star.
Yeah, it's caused me some problems at times.
Well, I think, too, you've seen certain people break out of traditions and molds that... either government or religion or whatever has tried to put them in. Just in my lifetime, you've seen the Berlin Wall come down and you've seen the Soviet Union fall apart. And I think that people are bucking some old traditions. Like, the Catholic Church used to put a lot of precepts on people, and people would follow that. Like I know my parents, and I looked at my grandparents, and they were just like, well, this is just the way you do it, and this is the way it's been done. And you're just like, okay. And no one ever really questioned that.
And keep in mind, they're taking their experience. I mean, they probably went through the Depression, so their outlook on shit's going to be way different than somebody who didn't go through a depression.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's why probably we have more progressive change happening in societal norms today than ever before. Because people are starting to say, hey, look, I'm going to be who I am, and there's nothing wrong with that. People are more accepting of it. Talking about grades, Tati sent in an email about she was taking her daughter to school today. Heard that little chat happening from Gateway, Port St. Lucie. There's a teacher that's claiming she was fired because she was giving students who did not turn in a project a 0, and the school said you can't give lower than a 50 for not turning your work. That was a debate that went on, and she said her daughter agreed with Virginia, which she said was surprising because she said she can't stand Virginia. She said, as for my opinion, at the end of the day, it's the parents' responsibility to get their kids for homework, to get on their kids for homework, not the school. And that is a complaint that happens a lot with teachers, is the teachers are saying that parents are relying on the school to raise their kids and they're not holding them accountable.
What's that one saying? It takes a village. Did it take everybody?
Mm-hmm. However, it is the school's responsibility to give fair grades, but not when there is no participation or effort applied by the student whatsoever. Schools have become lawnmower schools because they are catering to the parents they don't want to deal with, who think their kids can do no wrong and should be rewarded for the laziness, so they don't want the conflict. And at the same time, I think it is an issue, too, where schools have to perform at a certain level, and they're just so worried about the grade that the schools get. So the kids are given grades that they probably didn't deserve because it benefits the school and the funding they get on top of it.
That's messed up.
Snowflake University. Snowflake you.
Yeah, so, you do enable somebody, and you're right, I think with kids and with anybody, adults in general, when they see they can get away with stuff and they're not, held to task, then they're like, okay, well, what else can I get away with?
Go ahead and try to not turn in your assignment for work and tell me how long you had that job.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that story probably did uncover a speck of one of the things that is probably that we're doing wrong, in our society and our education, as far as like how we're funding schools and what we're letting kids get away with. So a question from Ginger. She said, Virginia, do you prefer Uber or Lyft? I've never used either and don't know which to choose.
I prefer Lyft because I've talked to Uber drivers and Lyft drivers and people that drive for both. And the drivers that do Lyft always tell me they like Lyft better. And I think it's always better to have a happy driver.
Plus, Lyft you can tip on. Uber, they don't have that tipping thing on there.
I think they do now.
They do?
I think they do.
Damn, I'm old.
I just prefer Lyft to. I just think I've had a better experience. But there'll be times when I'll go to hit Lyft and there's just nobody in my area. And so I do use Uber as a backup.
Better saturation?
It really just depends. And from day to day and night to night, it really just depends on what drivers are out there. You can get a terrible driver with Lyft, and you can get a terrible driver with Uber. It's luck of the draw.
Denny's had to take an Uber to work here not that long ago. And this is about 4:30 in the morning. And he said the guy that pulled up was blasting. What's the song? I wanna fuck you like an animal.
9 Inch Nails?
Yes, 9 Inch Nails. I mean, blasting
Closer.
to the point where Dennis goes, "Oh, you're playing 9 Inch Nails, huh?" And he said the guy never turned it down and just blasted Denny's out of. That's kind of fucked up, right?
Maybe he's doing that because he don't want to have any conversation with anybody.
You're really going a different way to just, I don't know, maybe not just speak.
Yeah. Well, you keep in mind, I don't know exactly how stringent it is to get one of these jobs, and I was reading this. Drivers for Uber and Lyft, they say, are making less than half of what they did just 4 years ago.
Yeah, you can tip on Uber. I just looked.
Yeah, so they make a ton less money now.
Really?
Yep, making half.
That's not good.
They believe it's because of the increase in the number of drivers who work for the companies, taking on a lot of people. And
Probably.
I don't know what their selection process is. So it's not quite that. A lot of people are going, oh, cool, it's a great little fallback career. I'll just drive people around. But apparently it's not real lucrative for a lot of people. And there's an email we got from a guy named Eric that's real pissed at Uber. He said we sent multiple emails to Uber. Apparently they said that they've cleared out both of our bank accounts.
What?
And we had to cancel our credit cards. It's been over 24 hours, no contact whatsoever. We had over $1,400 stolen from us in the past 24 hours while on vacation. Seems like a concern, and they seem to care less. I've seen multiple emails, sent multiple emails, and haven't heard anything back. They're crooks, have zero desire to help you out when you need it. Very patient person. Given them very many chances. Apparently what happened was the credit card company wound up refunding the money, but the bank, which had over $900 taken from the account, is waiting to hear from Uber, which is impossible because they only work through email and have no physical phone number. So I don't know if they're saying what, the Uber driver like boosted their card, or I don't know how this happened.
So that is the complete opposite of the experience I had with Lyft. I left my phone in a Lyft car, and I had to go through their emergency, all that. They got back to me very quick, and it was an actual person that was talking to me. And I'd emailed them. I emailed them like 7 questions. They got back to me very quick. So maybe Lyft is better.
There's something to be said for a company that has real people handling issues, and not a company that says we only deal with things through email. That's just not a great way to do customer service in this day and age.
Mine was through email, but they were literally responding back to me in real time via email.
That's awesome.
Yeah, customer service is a real big thing. You've got to be on it. You know, and the people that are doing it right, they have enough people that are on, you know, like Wendy's with their Twitter. I mean, somebody's just sitting there nonstop and responding to the comments that come flying into Wendy's.
And they're probably getting paid to solely do that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a job. That's what it takes. Sometimes Denny's was telling me about Game of Thrones and how they film it. It was kind of interesting. They've got one main director, and then he's got like 11 other directors that direct the scenes.
Oh,
so
wow.
He'll basically tell. It's like a manager saying, do this, do that. And then at the end of the day, they'll send him the dailies, and he's like, we'll use this, we'll use that. But he's not directing every single scene. He's got different directors. I believe it's a guy that does it, right?
Huh. I don't know.
Yeah. According to Denny's, now Denny's was real high when he told me this. So I don't know how accurate it is.
How high was he?
So high that...
Meg sent an email, said, all right, Kevin, did the other show really get canceled? Because remember the segment where you were talking about how you didn't have enough time to get in your workouts? We know how much you missed your workout. So did you get canceled, or did you cancel yourself? No, I canceled myself, basically. Yeah, that's how it went down. But, you know, what it was as I got in there, it was taking, like I said, it was taking 4 hours a day to do, in addition to doing KVJ. And, you know, a big part of it was we had some sponsors that had dropped off, and it just... You know, at a certain point, I'm one of those people that I think you always, and I always at least ask myself, the time you're spending on this project, is it worth your while? Are you making a good investment with your time? Because there's a lot of things we can do. And the people who seem to be successful use their time wisely in their projects that are paying a good dividend. And then, you know, with that project, it just was like, no, it was not worth it. And I felt like... there were just a lot of things with KVJ that weren't getting done, you know. And now that I've been back into it, and I've started to slowly kind of get plugged back into KVJ, it makes me realize, you need that time.
You also, I think you need personal time. You like working out. You like getting in that routine, and I've noticed you're kind of getting back into that a little bit. You seem slightly more relaxed and happier.
Yeah, I am. Physical, I guess I could do it. It could work, but it was killing my happiness. I wasn't getting to the gym. It was.
That's
no.
not good.
Seriously.
There's your answer right there.
I remember walking out of the house like a couple of weeks ago. I'm like going, I felt like I built my own prison. You know, and you just have to, it would take every amount of focus to get KVJ ready and then race off to do that thing well. And then it was just, you would go to bed and you do it all over again. And it was, it was crazy. And honestly, too, I think to be creative, you got to have time where you just sit and nothing's going on. And I started to realize that when you're just running from one thing to the next, you don't have time to stop and think.
For sure.
So, yeah, this week I've really enjoyed just kind of like, I'm like, wow, I got time. And I'm just sitting and thinking. And
that's going to be great for the KVJ horror movie. I get Kevin Ralston in the afternoon, full attention.
You don't have to film him on the sports show, and that's the only time he can be murdered or murder others.
But you're right, though. I got a little bit of time with you now.
I just an idea on how we can kill Jason came to me last night, and I haven't had one of those in a while.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's called Bury the Bird.
I love it. Let's do it. I don't even have to hear the idea. You got it.
You got it?
Let's bury my ass.
Okay, so what we have, Virginia, here's the idea. Now we got to work through. This is just the initial brainstorming idea for Halloween coming up.
Gotcha.
We do this thing. We are at a cemetery. There's one
or a
hole.
Seminary.
Yeah, I don't want to be at a seminary. Cemetery. So we're at a cemetery. There's one hole, and there's 3 caskets. And we have a person who has to pick casket 1, casket 2, or casket 3. So they pick that casket, and we lower it down into the ground, and then we cover it with dirt, right? We bury it. And we say, all right, Jaybird, pop out. And if he pops out one of the other 2 caskets, then they win. And if they don't, we know Jaybird's been buried alive, and they lose, and Jaybird dies.
I love it.
I don't hate it up to the part where I die.
Yes.
But I think everything up to that point is very good.
No, actually, there are ways I've seen that. They've buried people alive. So I just got to find the people who know how to do that.
I would fucking lose.
Wouldn't that be
my
great,
mind.
though? I mean, the drama.
There is a way to do it where you have an oxygen source. It's like a hose, much like they do with the new scuba diving now. A lot of times there'll be like a tank on the boat and a hose that goes down to
and
the
you could probably do a
person.
temporary tank inside, so you're not having to do the hose.
Absolutely.
I'm already getting shortness of breath.
Oh, it would
We just
be.
hope that none of the equipment malfunctions.
Well, that's the whole
Yeah.
time. That's the shit that would get to me going, what if just something happens and they don't get
One thing
me? Or
goes
what
wrong,
if, What if I'm down here and I am freaking out and I have to get out? Because sometimes when I have a panic attack like that, I'm like, fuck! I gotta
What if
get
we
out.
send an intern to fill the tank and they only fill it a quarter of the way?
Well, we don't even have interns anymore.
Yeah, we don't.
So I'd have to get someone from the KVJ show, and that would really fuck with my head because you motherfuckers are crazy.
Would you just imagine, though, you're just laying in a coffin? And because if you've ever seen that thing, they'll just take whatever that lift is and they just lower them right down in.
I've seen it.
And then, boom.
That reminds me of an Alfred Hitchcock episode where I'm not going to even explain it. It's long, and you guys won't really be into it. Fuck it. Never mind.
Wow. Really just died quick.
At least he's learning. The old Jaybird would have droned on for 10 minutes.
I would have fucking bored the entire audience about an episode no one gives a flying shit about.
Yeah. So, yeah, that would just be pretty amazing. I mean, just the suspense of saying, all right, Jaybird, pop out. And will Jaybird pop out of one of the 2 caskets? Or we'd be like, oh, shit, we just buried Jaybird alive.
There's a 33% chance I could come flying through. Or is it even more than that? It'd be a 66% chance.
66% chance you're fine.
Yeah.
So odds are in your favor.
But I've never been good with odds.
It's a 1 out of 3 chance that you are buried alive.
There's no way I'm not buried. There's no way I'm not buried.
Yeah, I think just it would be, oh my gosh.
Okay, I like this shit.
Okay, so bury the bird.
Let's do it,
I love it.
Got a new project to work on there. So it's been fun since we've really stirred it up.
Well, we're gonna need a coffin connection. If anyone has a coffin connection,
Got him. Actually,
shit.
that's what I was thinking. I know a guy that has a funeral home. Yeah.
I remember us talking about how we wanted to lay in a morgue overnight or for at least a couple hours.
Yeah, they wouldn't let us do that. We did approach them on that, and I think there is some kind of, I don't know, whatever.
Health code violation.
Yeah, there's something to it. Yeah, we did ask for that.
And you had sent me an email about doing the...
I think it was the same guy I'm getting ready to go back to. So he's like going, okay, now you want to bury somebody alive.
Yes.
Okay.
You wanted maybe the weird one ever to do a seance at the...
Riddle House.
Yeah, and I think
that was the other idea, yeah.
We've tried it. I don't know if they're going to allow us to do it.
They've, I think they've allowed, I remember when Tiny was at IRK, they did it.
A seance?
They allowed them in there. Yeah, they did something there.
Okay, that's, letting them go in there and doing a seance is different.
Well, yeah, because I've already, I love doing this prep every single year, but I go through the biggest haunts. I always love telling that of, the real places that are supposed to be haunted in South Florida.
It's fun.
Every year I find a few more that are new. But if you know anything about the Riddle House, it used to be a funeral parlor. And then this family actually purchased it, and they had, help and whatnot. So not only was it once a funeral parlor, But then apparently the family helped. The guy hung himself in the attic.
Oh.
Yeah, he was distressed or something like that. And so they say, in fact, they have a padlock on the attic. If you go to the Riddle House, which is at Yesteryear Village, and they say that people who have gone in there, sometimes they wind up with scratches on him when they come out. He apparently attacks. He does not like men. They say the spirit does not like men.
So it's Virginia?
I'm highly in favor of attacking only men.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the place where they have that real freaky looking clown, that doll.
Oh, yeah, that thing is horrifying.
Fucking horrifying.
Yeah, just sitting there on the couch.
Oh my gosh, clowns are so scary. Remember that whole controversy? That died out. Pun intended. But the killer clown shit. 2 Halloweens ago, we couldn't dress up as a clown because it was making the kids shit themselves.
That's right.
Yeah, Kano was telling me, what is it? There's someplace has. Oh, I think they're coming out. Fortnite's coming out with the killer clown theme for Halloween. They're gonna have that. It's gonna be part of the video game.
It's okay to do clowns again.
It is.
Remember though, people are like, you can't dress like a clown.
You can't. It's too serious because real clowns are killing people.
Yeah, and I was kind of, and I can't stand clowns. I kind of stuck up with the clowns during that time period. It's not the clowns' fault. The ones that are doing it right, they can't fucking walk around.
Yeah, it was a big to-do. I wonder if that'll come back. Or
They can't fucking clown around.
That's bullshit. And I hate clowns.
Let me see here. Another question. Meg said also tomorrow's dad take the kids to school or something like that day. I just wonder if or should that be a holiday or a big event, because I know some dads that do this on a regular basis. I've heard on your show that people have car service for their kids now. So maybe you could take a poll who takes their kids to school every day, the mothers or the fathers or other. Just a suggestion for tomorrow's show. Yeah, I think it's probably mixed. And no, our thing was somebody called. Who was it we had talked to? Was it an Uber driver? I think it was an Uber driver. It said, yeah, mom came and freaking put her 3 kids in my car, and they all had to go to different schools, and one of them was in a car seat.
And the mom wasn't going to ride with them.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, they said, no, I can't do that. So.
And then they said it's in the rules, actually, that you're not supposed to, as an Uber or a Lyft, take anybody under the age of 18, which I did not know that. But they can choose to turn down your ride if you go to put a minor in their car with no adult.
Is every day a special holiday now?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's all about marketing now. So they have like today's National Pancake Day, or they make a national whatever day it is, and then people will go.
Every day is a
it sells
holiday.
it. Yeah.
I like it. I saw people bitching and moaning about that, but why? It's fucking awesome.
It's fun.
Let's celebrate something.
It is what it is.
bizarre.
Yeah, it's flagrant marketing, but you know,
Flagrant.
But who cares?
Like,
It's a little bit fun. If you don't like it, then don't get a fucking pancake.
Yeah, who the fuck doesn't like talking about pancakes?
Especially when it's on like free pancake day and they do like free pancakes for pancake day. That's awesome.
Take your bad pancake attitude and shove it up your ass.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
I like that.
I got a whole bunch of emails. I kind of want to get some of these people on the show, but I'm starting to back up on emails. I'm not going to get to you guys if I try to call everybody and get you on. So I'll go through a few of these. But there are some really good emails today. Elena said, I live near the railroad tracks, and I see people stopping and walking out of the tracks and taking pictures. Why are they doing this? I thought maybe listeners would know. I'm sure it's the Instagram. It's the railroad track selfies. Yeah, people do that stuff because they... that's a problem. How many people? I saw one just last week. Somebody was at some kind of like a cave fixture, and they fell. My parents, who live by caves, big rock formations that attract tourists, yeah, they said those numbers have gone way up. People try to get to the edge, try to take that cool little photo like right over the edge, and they freaking slip and fall, and they lose their bearings.
And they die.
Yeah, and they die. Yeah.
For a selfie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hashtag.
So yeah, that's what people are doing. It's crazy. So yeah, that's totally what they're. But yeah, so some people are going out like, you know, the thing is like you go to some places, you know, where I know where I'm from, or at least my family's from, in southern West Virginia. You got some serious railroad tracks, like the kind of stuff you see in the movies. Like you've got a bridge between basically 2 mountains, and you've got a long, 300-yard railroad along bridge.
Where you die if it falls.
You've seen that kind of crap in the movies. Yeah, I mean, that's legit. That stuff does exist. Like, I've seen those kind of things. And so people go out there to try to get a freaking selfie in the middle of one of those railroad bridges.
And then the train comes.
Yep.
It's like the train track and Stand By Me when they're running.
Right, yeah.
I mean, that's what it is
It's
in
the
my
same
head.
thing, yeah. That's legit, and now people are doing it, and the reason why they're going on those railroad bridges and places like that is to get those damn selfies. So.
Oh, would you be able to walk across one of those things? My butthole would pucker up so bad. There's no way I could do it. I would end up dying
because the specific bridge I'm thinking of, you've got the railroad ties, but you look down, it's nothing but.
Oh.
And I think it's basically it's so. I mean, you don't survive. Like you could jump straight off, it's just there's no way.
My legs wouldn't be able to move.
30 stories.
I'd get down on all fours and I would be crawling like this and just.
Oh, I would too.
Spitting. Jason Lee Pennington.
I would freeze. Yeah, I don't know what I would do. I couldn't. I don't think there'd be any way I could make it. I'd have to maybe just like look forward and pretend like I'm.
You've talked about putting me on when we're talking about Face Your Fear Week and putting me on the top of a skyscraper doing something, and that makes my butthole go about that big.
I have the same thing. Yeah, I get a weird aching like in my taint.
Yes.
How big is your butthole normally if it goes to that?
I got a pretty small butthole, actually.
Prove it.
I don't think no one wins on that one.
Does anybody say, no, I got a really loose, sloppy butthole?
I mean,
do we have those people out there?
My stuff is hanging.
It's just
so that brags about
like if it catches a breeze, it'll whistle. I mean, does anybody?
You're like, listen, I got the biggest butthole in town, so.
Okay. Lena said, hey, I'd like to know, can you ask your listeners this? I saw the story about the nude man in his front yard, and I keep hearing you talk about it. I'm getting so mad because my husband has a BB gun, and he was shooting an iguana in our front yard, and our asshole neighbor called the cops and said he was shooting a rifle. So the cops come, guns drawn on him.
Oh, Lord.
He showed them the BB gun. The cops told him he can only do it in the backyard. So you mean this guy in the news can show his anus, but we cannot control the insane iguana population and shoot them with a BB gun? I'd love to hear what the listeners know.
First of all, what are you more offended by, seeing the old man's anus or seeing his dong? If you had to choose, the battle of the worser.
I think I'm pulling for anus, not dong. Anus can be funny.
I don't know, bending
dong
over.
Dong just feels wrong.
Bending over with that the brown eye looking at you. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Actually, Elaine, I'll go ahead and try to contact you and maybe get you on the regular show so we can get more interest on it. Because, I don't know. But I think the only thing about it is that line is the weaponization. And so the guy himself, it's kind of different categories. It's almost like apples, oranges. And the guy wasn't doing anything sexually perverse. He was just naked. And they deem that to be almost like a freedom of expression.
But that's weird, though.
It's not sexualized just because you're naked.
How is that possible, though? I feel like if I was walking around, even in my courtyard, and someone saw that, I'd be in fucking trouble.
You should be. I mean, when you're outside and there's a chance of kids walking by, you should have on pants.
But that's the rule, though. You're allowed to be naked on your own property as long as it's not sexual?
Well, that's what they're saying in Stewart.
Yeah.
That's been the complaint. Neighbors have called and said even kids can see him, and they said, look, it's not like he's tugging his putt or anything like that. So as long as he's not doing anything along those lines, then he can do it.
He gets itchy nards. He's rubbing his nards. Now it looks like he's jacking off. So,
I mean, if that was a continual issue, yeah, then, maybe that'd be it. And maybe it's just a judgment call, too. It just depends upon, who's making the call on this. I don't know. Yeah, but that's been a big story. I mean, the news has been out there a lot because people it doesn't seem like it's right, but they're allowing him saying, hey, he's not doing anything perverse.
Would you care if your neighbor was just, donging it and buttholing it up the whole time? Would you care?
No, not really. I mean, that doesn't bother me. I've never try to always keep an open mind on stuff and put everything into perspective. And yeah, just somebody that's being naked that's not doing. That's where I would draw the line too. If they're not doing a perverse sexual act, they want to be naked, then whatever.
He's on his yard. He's sawing. His butthole it's definitely out, but not sexual. He's sawing. He's planting.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm with you. I'm okay.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. The BB gun doesn't bother me either, but I think people are probably, because a lot of those, I've seen those too. Sometimes even when I've gone out shooting, with buddies or whatnot, like they'll have guns sometimes laid across the table, and then sometimes it'd be like, okay, they'll be, oh, I got the BB gun over there. Like, okay, which one's the BB gun? And you at first glance, you can't tell the difference. When you got a table loaded with guns, some are, but anymore, it's really kind of hard. You're like, especially pellet guns, things like that. They look like, that's why you're running into issues. And I know people freak out on the news when somebody got shot. Be like, oh yeah, it was a BB gun. But in fairness to the cops, especially if it's
tell
dark
the difference.
or dust, they don't know. And so they err on the side of like, when your adrenaline's going and you're scared to death, you're going, you don't want to be like, okay, let's wait till they fire a bullet and then we'll decide after it hits my body, was that a BB or was that a 9mm or whatever it might be. So.
Well, if you call the cops on someone that's got a gun on them, and if they're doing it within the law, it shouldn't be an issue. If the cops check it out, they're within the law. They're like, okay, problem solved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't know. I'll try to get Lena on that. Talk to you on the show because, maybe somebody will have a better explanation of what we're giving you.
So something like the iguanas that's terrible for our environment, and you say it's killing off other species and it's bad. Mm-hmm. For people who believe in not killing animals for any reason whatsoever, what would their opinion be on something like an animal that is killing and destroying the ecosystem? Would they suggest just to let it happen? What would be their opinion on that?
Well, I don't know. You'd have to talk to somebody who has that opinion. I don't. So
you're right. I'm not going to get much in this room right now.
No.
I'm maybe posing it to the audience.
I think if they're hurting other animals or they're hurting the environment, then humanely euthanizing them is the only way, right?
But I wonder if they see it that way.
Well, they probably don't because they don't believe in killing any animal. But I think you got to be really careful about protecting and preserving your own area and your own species that are there organically.
Yeah, you throw off your own ecosystem.
I wonder
like those pythons that are out there in the Everglades. Well, that's not fair.
And they started to mutate.
Yeah.
Now, and there are different kinds of snakes where they go on land and water.
Well,
killing everything.
I was reading about this Buddhist who, if there's bugs, if there's ants, this person had a terrible ant problem, and they didn't kill any of the ants. They humanely got every ant out of their place. But imagine,
that's a project.
Imagine how long that would take.
That'd be crazy. Most people don't have that kind of patience.
But doesn't believe in killing anything. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious to see what other people think.
Yeah, so there you go. Some of the other emails I got on, I'll try to, we'll just try to get those on the regular show. But I do appreciate if you got any kind of questions for us. Love to do it. Try to get your emails as much as we can and get you on the show if we can too. So what helps out in the whole process to people like Elena, if you can just put your phone number on there. Actually, I do have one. Let me get to this real quick because they said, P.S., don't use my real name. PSS, no, I don't want to come on the show and talk. Okay, so if you're okay with coming on, put your phone number. If you don't want to come on the show, put what they did, PSS, I don't want to come on the radio and talk. Okay, so this one I'll get to here because this is meant for the after the show only. Want your advice on this? I'm in the middle of a divorce proceeding. It's amicable and simple. We are ending on okay terms, but the reason I'm writing is because during our marriage, we made some videos of us during intimate moments. My soon-to-be ex-husband has these videos on his devices. Should I ask him to delete them? What do I do? Do I just let it go? I know divorce can make people do vengeful things, but I don't imagine my ex would do anything with these videos except for maybe rewatching them himself. Please let me know what you think I should do.
You can actually have it put into your divorce agreement that they should be destroyed.
Okay.
And you can have consequence written in there as well. You know, if these videos are ever made public or anyone else ever sees them, here's the consequence. And both people sign off on it saying, okay, yes, we both agree that this is the fine and the penalty should the videos ever get released. They should be destroyed.
Okay. Well, there you go. Bam, Virginia.
Yeah, you can absolutely ask for that. That is not crazy to ask for.
Okay. Didn't need you on the regular show. Got an answer just that quick.
That's what I think.
Okay.
You can put whatever you want in your divorce agreement. Just both people have to sign off on it. Now, if he fights you on it, you know, there's your answer. What kind of guy he is. He had plans to do things with those videos.
Mm-hmm. All right. Got any questions, stories for us? Just send us an email, mail@kvjshow.com, mail@kvjshow.com. You have a good day. We'll talk to you later. Goodbye.
Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.